The SSCP's Solima Paila, who is speaking at the party's memorial lecture that is in honor of Ruth First, saying that we acknowledge the struggle of women, but also addressing the issue of the high cost of living, saying the working class can barely survive and that they are struggling, and saying we must deal with the system that denies us resources. Some of the words coming from Solima Paila this afternoon. We break from that, of course, to bring you more news. The higher education sector, in partnership with SNG Grant Thornton, have sought to find digital solutions to assist students at higher learning institutions. The initiative aims to deal with operational challenges experienced in the higher education industry. Some of the solutions are expected to address compliance and business risk in relation to cybersecurity, tax compliance, and digitalization of internal reporting and monitoring. Let's get more on this initiative when I joined via Zoom by Thabo E Mogano. He is the education industry leader at SNG Grant Thornton. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News. Let's start here. I mean, let's talk about the digital solutions and how they would assist exactly. You've said that they'll address compliance and business risk in relation to inter alia cyber security. Explain in simple terms, what we're talking about here.
Yeah, look, I think what we have seen with the outbreak of COVID, there was actually quite an increased use of online study during that period. And what we have then observed is that a number of institutions had to come up with strategies in terms of how to reach their students. But at the same time, we then realized that within their system, the infrastructure system, IT system, some of them were very old systems, and then they needed to actually invest a bit more on new technology. And as a result, the quality of some were doing assessments online. As a result, the quality of assessments then become questionable because they didn't really have quality controls around how they will conduct those exams online. So what we then realized is that actually there's quite a need now to start focusing going forward in terms of how you blend the two methods of learning from your normal lecture, physical lecture, and also online. And when you think about it going forward, I mean, if you think about the future child in 2035, 2040, they're going to be more on technology. And also when you think of the fourth industrial revolution, we need to start investing a bit more in terms of our IT infrastructure to get ready for this type of learning and also to prepare our students for the future hopes that they need to be taken care of.
Yeah. In your press statement, you mentioned that funding of public higher education is a moot issue in South Africa. Why is this the case, and why is SNG Grant Thornton feeling the need to address this? One would ask the question, in exchange for what?
Look, I think we partnered with the public institutions because we realize the importance of education in the country. And what we have realized is that over the years, the funding from public funding has been decreasing. So there is a need for a third stream funding in a way to fund some of the initiatives within the institutions. So what we have observed is that a number of institutions are then undertaking some of the more like an enterprise type of business where they actually enter into a space where they are running profit-making entities. But at the same time, it then shifts the focus of institutions, and there's a need for them to properly structure their entities in terms of how they're going to run those businesses so that you don't find a situation where you actually have good intention in terms of growth of third stream income, but at the same time, you end up in a situation where they need funding, and you end up realizing that now you're going to have to divert the funds from the fees themselves to fund some of the private institutions that we were trying to establish to help you to generate income. So there's definitely a need to find ways of raising funds to run your operations as institutions, and at the same time, to some extent, even help fund some students as well.
All right. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but thanks very much for, of course, talking to us on this. Thabo E Mogano, who is the education industry leader at SNG Grant Thornton, who are in partnership with the higher education to find digital solutions to assist students. We're going to take a short break, and after the break, we are indeed showing you our 1-hour special of the Impogoto Women's Roundtables that we have indeed been showing throughout the month of August as we commemorate Women's Month. Do stay with us.